A B minus is close to a D, and a B plus is close to an A. Right?
I'm so confused. 5 things that we do not do in our homeschool. Friends, I did not have time to sit down and film a video, so I am taking you guys along on a couple of days with me, and we are going to talk about 5 things that we do not do in our homeschool. So come and spend a couple of days with me, and let's chat all things we don't do in our homeschool. If you're interested, just keep on watching.
And I can feel the sun on my skin, beginning to thaw.
So I'm currently on my way to the grocery store and I have a couple of errands to do in town. So you know what, I said, perfect. I can talk to the camera in peace without the kids in the background. So one thing that we don't do in our homeschool that is pretty popular among the homeschool community, and I hear moms talking about it all the time, and I've actually tried it out with my kids, but I just noticed that it just does not work for my kids and for myself, is doing read alouds or any type of bookwork during our meals, so our meal time. So I know a lot of moms say that they take advantage of, you know, breakfast time to maybe do like a history read aloud or any read alouds that they're doing. They take advantage to do any type of like work during that meal time, and I've tried it before and it definitely does not work with us guys. My kids get too distracted and they either end up not listening to whatever, you know, we're doing, or they end up not eating. So it's one or the other. Meals were sacred during us growing up, and my mom would always cook a warm meal every single day for dinner, and we weren't allowed, you know, to bring electronics. TV was off, any books. We really just did focus on eating and just chatting as a family. I don't mind that, like the kids talking, us talking about our day when we're doing meals, but I think for us, what works best for us is just leaving mealtime for it being mealtime. And I also feel like I feel like kind of like I sometimes want to enjoy my meal with the kids as much as you can, right? When you have littles. But I just feel like I'm not that type of multitasker as well. And I prefer not doing any type of like schoolwork during our meals. Let me know down below if it works for you. You know, in school,
Yeah.
they get grades, right?
Yeah.
So
Basically, a F means you did really bad.
okay, what is that? Okay.
A F minus means F plus is like you did
F
still
plus?
bad. You still did bad.
Okay, yeah.
But you did better than F minus. And what's next? A C? I believe?
Sure. What does a D mean?
A D. A D means you did like minimum. Like
Minimum.
half.
Okay. What about a C?
A C. That's like lower than D.
It's lower than a D?
Yeah.
And what about a C? Oh, sorry. What about a B? Is a B good?
No.
What does that mean? Like, what does it stand for?
Oh, B. A B is like close to A plus. A B minus is close to a D, and a B plus is close to A. Right?
I'm so confused. Okay, what if I told you, Nicholas, you got an A minus on your test? What would that
really
mean?
good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, what about an A? Just an A.
That's still pretty
What's
good.
better, an A minus or an A?
An A minus.
Okay. And what is better, an A plus or an A?
A plus.
Okay. And what's better, a B plus or a A plus?
A plus.
Okay. And what kind of student are you? Are you an A, B, C, D, F?
I'm usually a B plus.
A B plus. Okay. Why do you think that?
Because I usually do. Sometimes I do A plus too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do A plus. So.
I really liked your explanation.
Oh, that does.
It does?
And B
What is
stands for but good.
but good?
Bad.
But good. But bad. What about a C?
A C starts with critical.
Critical. Critical. Okay.
D starts with
What about a D?
D. Damaged.
Damn it. Guys, it's freezing right now. But as you can see, we do not do grades in our homeschool, but that's because we don't really need to. I live in Ontario, Canada. We don't have to submit anything. We don't have to show anything. And I feel like grades, like when you get A+, you do the A, B, C, D, F kind of system is more for public schools so parents can know what's going on with their kids at school. But when oh look, there's an ant. That's weird. It's like so cold. Did you see? Oh, is that a spider? Ooh.
Let me see.
Okay, let me get out of here.
Where?
Oh, you flicked it away? Okay, let's go back here. The kids we don't really need to grade them. And I don't feel like I need to do that. I do some testing sometimes, like in our curriculum, it has like unit assessments. I really appreciate that just to allow me to know where the child is at. But when we're doing our curriculum, usually I'm one-on-one with the kids. So I can see what's going on with them. And I can see like where they're struggling and where we need to work on and things, their strengths, their weaknesses and whatnot. So we don't need to grade. But I know that in some states, provinces, territories, depending on where you live, you might need to do some type of grading and whatnot, and that's totally fine. Always check your regulations when it comes to homeschooling, but that's just something that we don't do. As you can see with my son, he gave it a good shot there. What, the different levels of grades, what they mean, and it was pretty funny. But yeah, we don't do grades here. Do you do any grading in your homeschool? Let us know. Okay, one of the things that I am not good at is using a planner. I actually gave the planner world a try, and honestly, it just wasn't for me. I gave it a fair shot. I bought a planner, a beautiful planner, because let's be honest, there are some beautiful planners out there. I started planning and probably over planning and it just did not work out for us. And this is why I think that using a planner does not work for me and our homeschool. It's just because our curriculum is already open and go. So I don't really need to plan anything. Even when it comes to my science units, I feel like there's not a lot of planning involved. So I feel like I really don't need to. I live in a place where I basically need to show nothing. So I feel like if I had to show something or plan something or have a coordinator involved, or I had to show my plan when it came to homeschool, I could see that I would probably need to do that. But because I don't need to do any of that, I feel like I don't need to plan. And I felt a little bit overwhelmed when I was with the planner. I was doing like reverse planning, but still I felt like I didn't really need to plan. I feel like I'm very go with the flow. And usually we do a lesson a day until we finish our curriculum. And that's just because of the curriculum that we use. I felt like a planner did not work for us, but what works for us is I do like having like checklists. I have a bunch of different checklists that I have for the day. I like that, that's fine. But I check it off and then I can just throw this away. I don't need the actual physical planner. I feel like it just doesn't work for us. Also, I even tried to do like the quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter who. I was just like, no, quarters are not something that we do. And I feel like sometimes we will school on the holidays. I would just kind of like determine when our holidays were based on the season of life and the things that we were going through, and maybe we needed some time off because of sickness and that kind of stuff. So I felt like it wouldn't even go according to plan regardless if I had a planner or not. So yeah, guys, planners are just not for us here, but let me know, do you use a planner? Are you like a planner kind of homeschool mom? Because I know that it's very, very popular out there. Or are you a mom that planners just don't work for you? You've tried it out and it's just not good. I actually have a video on my channel comparing 2 planners, and those are the ones that I was going with. And it's beautiful planners. I think they're amazing planners, and obviously it doesn't work for us, but if you want to check out that video, that's definitely one that you can take a look at. So I'm currently just going to wash dishes, and we're going to talk about another thing that I do not do in my homeschool. And I have laundry in the background here. I love my computer. I have like my dishes, but anyways, I wanted to, share my other thing that we do not do in our homeschool. But the other thing that I do not do in my homeschool is I don't compare my kids' to other kids, and I don't compare my kids to each other when it comes to mostly everything, but specifically when it comes to like academics, their learning style, their learning capabilities, their level. I try not to compare my kids, you know. It's very easy to get into that comparison game where you're comparing your kids because one kid is more advanced than the other. It's very easy for you to start comparing your kids, especially if you have a kid that's more advanced, and then you start thinking like, oh, like why isn't my kid like this, my other kid like that, or so on and so forth. I think we can relate to each other when we talk about this. I have my third grader. I would say that he's like kind of like on grade level if we were looking at the public school system. You have my 4-year-old, which he'll be going into the 1st grade, which is crazy, in the fall. And that's just because he loves learning. And I know that I get a lot of just kind of comments and sometimes even criticism sometimes, especially from, you know, homeschool families that believe that, you know, the child just has to play, just has to play. And honestly, I'm all for learning through play. I love that. But my son was not having it. Like, he loves learning. Like, he wants to do bookwork. And you're gonna have some kids that are like that, that just kind of like take charge and they love, you know, the bookwork kind of aspects of it. They want to learn how to read. That was my son, and he's reading and he's doing so well. And some people are like, don't do that, don't let him do it. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? My son is like crying for work. I'm not gonna give it to him because people tell me that that shouldn't be done. Like, to me, it's kind of like every kid is different. I try to really be, you know, open-minded and respect other people's decisions when it comes to education. And of course, us as homeschooling families and homeschooling moms, or, you know, the parent, we want what's best for our child. Like, I want to give my son every opportunity that he can have. If he wants to go to university, college, he will be able to do that, right? I want to make sure that he has all those opportunities. So you as the parent, I'm assuming you as the parent, you want that for your child, right? You want them to succeed and be able to have all those opportunities and more, compared to if they were in the public school system. That's why I homeschool. I never want to put my kids in a position where I'm trying to show off that they are smart. You know what I'm saying? Like, this whole thing of, I have nothing against this. I think it's wonderful. I even share it like when I see success stories like this of, you know, kids going to university and college when they're 10, 11 years old, 12, 13, whatever it might be, like at a very early age. I feel like that's beautiful, that's wonderful. But I never want to put that expectations on my kids, because if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, that doesn't mean I'm failing. I feel like people are always watching us, right? We have eyes on us. Is her kid smart? Are they doing well, right? When it comes to, you know, academics. And I never want to put that on my kids. Overly smart, you know, they have to, you know, be above their grade level. I want them to be happy. I want happy kids, you know. I want them to love learning. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to do, you know, things that maybe they don't want to do, because that's life. Sometimes you got to do things that you don't want to do. But I want it to be a place where it's a healthy environment, you know, for them to love learning and for them not to have to compare to other kids, you know, or compare to each other, their brothers and sisters, because they're unique in their own way. Depending on where you live, that's going to look a little different. Maybe you do have to maintain some type of standard, right? When it comes to your child's education, and that's totally fine. That's why when you start homeschooling, you have to look at all those little details. Fortunately for us, we live in a province that is just so lenient. There's no interference. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I feel like it's very easy for us to get into the comparison game. And okay, I'm going to make my bed right now, but before I do, I wanted to let you guys know the last thing that I could think of that we don't do in our homeschool, and I hope that I can offer you some type of encouragement depending on the season of life that you're going through. So my schedule, our routine, each and every season of my life and things that we're going through, my schedule and our routine looks different. So I'm gonna not only, I don't feel like I could tell you this, but I'm gonna explain to you how my schedule has evolved and our routine has evolved throughout the year. So I don't have like a strict schedule. and a rigorous schedule by any means. I'm very flexible, and I love that because homeschooling offers that flexibility. In the public school system, school starts in the fall. Usually a lot of homeschool families like starting in the fall. I would love to do that as well, but depending on the season of life that I was going through throughout the years, I did not always start like in September, which is when school starts here in Ontario, Canada. So my first year homeschooling, we started our homeschooling year in May. Nicholas finished off junior kindergarten. We went right into senior kindergarten. My son, Michael, was 5 months old. I didn't even use a curriculum my first year homeschooling. I have a video up on my channel sharing with you, why I didn't use a curriculum, how I taught my son how to read when he was in kindergarten. I'll link it here and I'll link it down below. But just so you have an idea that my year did not start the same. Routine-wise, there was always a routine there. But when we start our homeschool year has varied throughout the years. So I started off in May, but then I actually went back to work in January, which is just so like surreal to me. Like I forgot about that. Like I went back to work that January. The reason why I went back is that my husband and I, we were praying about, our third pregnancy, if we should even have a third child. And it's funny, we're gonna get a little bit personal here. It's funny because we decided to, we're gonna try for 3 months. If I don't get pregnant within 3 months, we're not gonna try again, and that's it. And we put a 3-month mark into it. I don't know why, but I said, you know what? Let's try, and if I'm able to get pregnant, awesome. If I'm not, then it's just not meant to be for our third child. So obviously I ended up getting pregnant and I did go back to work so I could take the opportunity to take maternity leave. Here in Canada, maternity leave, if you are part of unemployment insurance, which most employers are, the only reason why you wouldn't be part of unemployment is if you were self-employed or you have your own business and whatnot. But most people do have access to EI, which is unemployment insurance. It's a year you can take here or a year and a half. And usually what happens is the government gives you 55% of your salary, 33% if you take the 1 year and a half. So maternity leave here is quite long. It just guarantees your job as well. So I decided to, take the opportunity to get that maternity leave in. I've already spent so many years working. Might as well take advantage of that. So I did get pregnant, and then I got really sick during my pregnancy. I was in and out of the hospital. I had rough pregnancies with all 3 of my kids. This one was a scary one just because it was like my last one. I felt like I was very weak. I had a lot of like iron deficiency, anemia. I had to get transfusions done. It was hard, but I was still homeschooling. But it looks a little different, right? Because of the season of life that I was in. It was a little slower. We were doing The Good and the Beautiful still, and we completed everything, but it looked different. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to start our homeschooling year after I had my daughter in September because she was going to be born in September. So we actually started our homeschool year in November. So it looked a little different, guys. It did look different, but it doesn't mean that it was unsuccessful. Sometimes you just got to be flexible with your schedule depending on the season of life. And I still feel like I'm going through those seasons. This coming year, we actually started in September and it's been good, but in December was a month full of sickness for us. So it did look a little different. There's a lot of things happening. So I don't even know if we're going to homeschool through the summer, depending on, how things look like. There were seasons of life where I was doing night school. There were seasons of life where we were doing like school early morning before I start work because I've been a working homeschool mom, full-time working homeschool mom. Right now, I do consider myself somewhat a working homeschool mom because I'm doing more of entrepreneurship. I do get paid and I do work with brands and that kind of stuff. So there is a level of, working and homeschooling and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, I do have those partnerships that I work with different brands. Some things you see here, some things you don't see because I'm working behind the scenes with different brands and I love it. It's something almost like a hobby turned into something that I'm getting paid for. So I'm still a working homeschool mom and I'm working with that, that flexibility that homeschool offers me to go over, to do things that I really love. But my priority is my kids, right? I feel like I am giving my all when it comes to homeschooling, when it comes to my kids, And that is super important to me, to be able to give my all to my kids, but we also have that flexibility with our schedule and our routine. So our routine right now, because now we have 2 beautiful puppies, our routine has been we wake up early. 5 a.m. we're up, but it's been a different type of routine for us. Sometimes we're finished homeschooling by 10 a.m. because everyone's up really early, and then other days it's more of a laid back day. I've got a little bit personal with that whole, schedule, and that's just because if you're going through a season of life right now where you can't follow a certain schedule or routine that works best in your mind, depending on the season of life that you're going through, your routine is going to look different. And that's okay. Our schedule changes every year. Routine, there's always a routine there, but we don't have a specific schedule and how things work. And routines change just due to seasons of life, guys. So don't be too hard on yourselves if you can't follow a strict schedule or even a routine, depending if you are going through different seasons, whether it's moving, new baby, all the things, right? Just give yourself a lot of grace, not hiding behind laziness, because sometimes that could be a thing where we can get lazy. And if you're doing your all, you're seeing your kids grow, you're seeing the fruits, right? The fruits of, you giving it your all. I think that you're going to be just fine. Like you got this, So guys, I am going to end this video here. I hope I can condense this video into a shorter kind of video. I don't know. I ramble a lot, guys. I talk a lot. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below if some of these things that you don't do, like we can relate to each other, or maybe some things that you do, like some of the things I mentioned, like you love, like maybe read alouds during breakfast. You're like, Gina, what are you doing? Like, you don't do read alouds during breakfast. It's the best thing ever. I would love to hear, things that you guys don't do down below. Let's start a conversation. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video because it helps out my small little YouTube channel out so much, and I so appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.